Welcome to Uncover Your Story, the podcast that empowers you to find your brand story and share it with confidence to increase your impact in the world. I'm your host, Sarah Orton, and I'm a brand photographer, storyteller, and content creator. By drawing on my 20 years of experience and talking to amazing guests, we'll be uncovering the art of communicating through story. I'm here to help you build your storytelling toolkit with actionable tips, strategies, and insights. Let's dig in. I'm incredibly excited to welcome my very first guest, Esther Amira Opie. Esther has a 20-year background within healthcare and diagnostics, and in 2023, she launched her own business called Nutrition, Wellness, Lifestyle. And she says, as someone who has traversed the path of balancing work, family, and health, I'm here to support you in reclaiming control over your health journey. In the spring of 2024, Esther booked a brand shoot with me, and we had a brilliant day connecting over our love of food and our taste in books and music. Since then, I've followed Esther on Instagram, and it's been a joy to see her sharing her story, connecting with her audience, and growing her brand. And I can tell you from experience that what she does with her storytelling through her business works. Last November, when I was facing my own health issues and really struggling with my energy levels, I decided I probably needed to work with a nutritionist. And because of everything I'd learned about Esther through the information and stories she shares in her socials, in her newsletter and website, she was the first person I thought of. I knew she had her own health journey. I knew she walked the walk. I knew she knew her shit. I knew she was a warm person and someone I could trust. Esther has a real talent for crafting narratives that connect with her audience, and I'm looking forward to diving into this conversation and seeing what insights she has to share with us all. Esther, welcome to Uncover Your Story.
Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. What a glowing review. I haven't actually heard that before.
You're most welcome. So as you know, you're my very first guest. Very exciting. And what we're going to do is we're going to dive straight into a quick fire round. I've got a few questions that I'm going to be asking all my guests. So are you ready?
Yes, let's go for it.
Creative, change maker, or big-hearted rebel? Which do you most resonate with?
Wow, those are very good questions. Creative. Oh, I'd say big rebel maybe, but a bit of creative as well, because you have to be, I have to be creative around people I'm working with. It's never always the same person. But also, I think big rebel because I challenge women's perception of how to look after their bodies, right? I'm challenging the traditional approach of restrictive, of counting, of you have to look a certain way to kind of help them love and nourish their bodies. So yeah, a bit of both. But I think I really am a big rebel, really, because a lot of women come to me and they come away going, oh gosh, okay, I wasn't expecting that. So yes.
What words do you choose to live by?
Oh, when you know better, you do better.
What song gets you on the dance floor?
Wow. I'll tell you what I'm enjoying at the moment, actually, is a song that just sings to my heart. It's by Ezra Collective and Yasmin Lacey. It's called God Gave Me Feet for Dancing. And it's just lovely, melodic, and
Nice.
got lovely beats. It just gets me going and makes you feel happy. That's my jam at the moment.
My husband just bought the Ezra Collective, so we just got that. I'll have to check out which one that is.
Yeah, have a listen to that one.
What's a short story from your work that brings you joy?
Whoa. There's lots of short stories actually, and I think this is probably part of my work as well. I try and find little moments of joy in everything I do. A short story is that I started working with a client last year, and she's having a lot of health challenges. And one of them was she hadn't passed a number 2 regularly in a long time. And in the first week we started working together, the first thing she said to me during our follow-up was that I'd been going to the toilet every day. And I mean, I was almost close to tears because I thought, wow, simple changes can actually have a very big impact on someone's well-being.
Yeah. That's wonderful to have that impact on someone's life, isn't it?
Yeah.
And last quick fire, what's a daily ritual or habit you can't live without?
Oh, rituals. I think my daily ritual is gratitude. Gratitude and getting into nature. Those are the 2 things that are non-negotiables that set me up for the day, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's so important. And that's definitely something I'm trying to do more after working with you, making sure I
Yes.
get out my daily walk.
Mhm.
It's really, really making a difference.
Yes.
Okay, now we want to get into uncovering your story. Every business has an origin story, and I'd love you to share what was your journey to establishing your business.
So my journey to establishing my business started somewhere in the middle. My health challenges really set me on this journey of nutritional therapy, alternative therapies, holistic therapies, just understanding it's not just what we eat, but how we eat, when we eat, how we live, our emotional well being. So I had my own health challenges probably 5 or 6 years ago when my then young daughter was really small. I was back at work, having taken a year off work and kind of trying to claw back that sense of position in an organization. With that, obviously, you're very stretched as a mother who's working, right? You're trying to be all things to all people and thinking that you're doing it, but actually you're sacrificing yourself. And that's what I was doing, really.
Mhm.
I worked long hours. I was looking after my daughter who was at nursery or starting school. And I was just feeling drained, no energy. I'd do a full day's work, and by 2, 3 in the afternoon, I was just flagging, but you're just having to turn up,
Mhm.
because it's work. And this carried on for about 6 or 9 months. And really the turning point for me was when I had some routines bloods done. Okay, because at this stage now my hair was thinning, was falling out, my nails were brittle, like
Oh,
energy was flagged. So I had these routine blood tests done, and they were staggering, really. They threw me off my track or whatever it is I was trying to achieve. And the funny thing was, I do work for a healthcare company. I was working for a healthcare company at the time. So you'd have thought that, you'd be aware of these things. Anyway, my HbA1c was raised more than I'd like it to have been at the time. And
and
that
for
was a
people who don't know what
marker.
that is, yeah,
Yeah, so
sorry,
that's a
fine, yeah.
marker for blood sugar regulation over a 3-month period. And really, it's an indicator of a diabetic trajectory if you don't get it under control. Now, that was a big shock to me
Mhm.
because as far as I was aware at that time in life, I was training very hard. Okay.
Um,
I thought I was eating well, but actually I was also doing what we call as intermittent fasting quite aggressively for where my body was at the
mhm,
time,
mhm.
counting calories, really chopping down what I was eating as well. And it culminated in me having this blood result, okay, which
Mm,
just stopped me in my tracks. It almost winded
mhm.
me, really.
Yeah.
Um, and with that, obviously, I was like, what happens now, And again, having a science background, as you know, I've been working in healthcare, my degree, my undergraduate, everything's always been science related. I was trying to piece this together myself, thinking I
Uh-huh.
can fix this problem myself.
Mhm.
But the more I did, the more overwhelmed I was. Carry
Yeah.
on.
Because you were a very active, fit and healthy person as well,
Yes,
weren't you?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. I was training 5 mornings a week, first thing in the
Mhm.
morning at 6 a.m., obviously charging the day up and then not eating until late in the day, and
Mm.
just creating this vicious cycle, which I didn't understand. So when I came to a point where I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, there's too much information out there, a friend I knew a nutritional therapist who I was quite curious about, but oh, what does this mean? You know what I mean? So I had a chat with her, and once she started talking, everything she said resonated with what I needed, a
Mhm.
holistic view on not just how I eat, how I treat my body, how I sleep, all that stuff, which all played a part into who I was at that very
Mhm.
point in time because I wasn't sleeping well, because my body was deprived and I was stressed. So a lot of things are happening there. So yes, I worked with her for a year just to get some habits into place, really, to help me nourish my body, treat my body in the way that it needed for it to find its balance to then start healing from that diabetic trajectory. And I think that's what I loved about it is that it wasn't about restricting my body further. It's about eating to nourish my soul,
Yeah.
nourish how my sleep, my environment and everything. And I must say, it's still a continuum, I'm still doing those things today. So that's really where it started. So then long story short, so that was obviously I was inspired by her. I then went on to study part-time at the College of Naturopathic Medicine in London
Mhm.
for nutritional therapy. Then 2023 was the moment in time when I had an opportunity to step away from my main job, okay? And I took that as a sign. I'd finished my course, I was setting up practice, and I started to realize very quickly that if I wanted this to be a thing, I'd have to focus. I'd have to give it all my,
Yeah.
energy and attention. So, and I mean, at
Yeah.
the time I thought, who am I to have the audacity to follow my dreams? I thought if I
Yeah.
don't, I'm never going to do it. And
Absolutely.
I haven't looked back. So
Yeah.
really that was my brand story. I want to bring a lot of the things that I've experienced and working with women, obviously helping them understand their bodies and realize it's not about restriction. It's not about punishing our bodies, right?
Mhm.
It's leaning
Mhm.
into it, okay? Because
Mm.
we're very unique and our bodies, change over the years as well.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. It's really interesting. So much that resonates. And I just want to share with you. So obviously, I've been working with you as my nutritionist over the last few months. I was going through the menopause and dealing with all of that and getting bloods done to try and sort that out with my GP. And they happened to take my bloods to test my blood sugar. And I got a phone call saying, you're pre-diabetic. And same thing, it's just like actually wounded me, just like was so shocking. I'd had my kids late in life and, I've got young kids and I want to be around for them. It's like, oh my God, things have got to change. I've got to start
Yes.
prioritizing myself. Yeah. As ambitious working mothers, everything else comes first and our own well-being is often at the bottom of the pile, isn't it? But,
Yes.
so I've been working with you over the last few months and you've been really helping me. And I got a blood test done recently and my levels have come right back down and they're in range.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Gosh.
Thank you.
And again, that's a testament to you working with your
Mm,
body and going,
mm,
let's just go back to basics. And really that's what it's about, that
yeah.
things are edging towards the right direction. And I think one of the misconceptions about nutritional therapy is that people want the magic pill, and that's
Mm,
something that I
mm,
find I'm having to deal with a lot. Don't
mhm,
realize your body's been dealing with this thing for so long. It needs to
yes.
now have the safety net. It needs to kind of work
Mm,
back to fix itself. So
yeah.
yes, well done, Sarah. That's amazing.
So you've been in business now for just over a year. Can you tell us more? What is the change you want to create for your brand stories? What's the impact you want to have on people's lives?
Wow. I think that's always going to be an evolving picture for me, because the more I'm experiencing, the more I just feel, wow, this is what my brand is about. But really, it's about empowering women to honor their bodies, to listen to their bodies, to come away from restriction and punishment, you know what I mean? And cutting calories and really trying to make your body be a certain way when maybe genetically it's not meant to be, right? But also for self care to be proactive,
Mm,
an
mm,
intentional thing, not reactive when you
mm,
think, oh gosh,
mm,
like I did, I've got this result now. I need to kind of slam the brakes and try and get
mm,
things moving back. And really, that's what I am trying to do by working with women in that plus 30 group. That's where I
mhm,
was when I was kind of coming through my own health challenges, to really be proactive about and intentional about how you look after yourself. Okay.
mhm,
And it's about little and often, not just
mhm,
doing these massive, you know, great big changes and
mm,
hoping for them to stick as a lifelong. And it's a lifestyle, really. I think that's what it's about. It's about
yeah,
having a lifestyle that supports you.
mm,
You're allowed, you can have fun. Yes, have the cake, have whatever your treats are, but
mm,
knowing that your body needs to be within the certain confines of nourishment in all its forms more often than not, right? And really, that's what I think I'd like to kind of put out in the world, just
yeah,
proactive and also just working with your body when you are being challenged as well.
yeah.
And listen to your body,
It's,
right? Listening,
yeah.
like what the signals it's sending you know what I mean? Are
Mhm,
you tired? Are you hungry? Is your skin breaking out? Are your joints achy? Your gut got problems, like listen, what is it trying to
mhm,
tell you? Yeah.
mhm. And I guess that's like the micro stories that you're telling through your social media. Some of them it's about, like you said, just modeling that sort of intentional living and looking after yourself, right? The way sharing your yoga practices or what you're eating or going on a
Yeah.
run, that sort of stuff.
Doing it as often as I can, obviously.
Yeah.
Life
Yeah.
is busy and trying to capture it all and share it is one of the
Yeah.
challenges, I think.
Yeah. So, what is the most impactful brand story you shared, and why do you think it landed so well? Whether that be through social media or your newsletter, or what story have you told that you felt has really resonated with your audience?
I think it's just my story.
Mm.
people meet me and they think, gosh, but you look so healthy. Oh, you look so fit at
Mm.
that time. But my body was screaming at me.
Mm.
So I think that's probably what surprised people, that actually health might not just be what's you're seeing physically on the outside, but
Yeah.
actually internal, what you're feeling, how you're sleeping. Yes, I might not look like someone who's been on a journey, but
Mhm.
I have been internally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's probably a lot of people, who run their own businesses and personal brands, your own story often is going to be that most powerful thing to really
Mm.
communicate to people because you've lived it, you've been through it, and you sharing it helps people connect. And it's that storytelling thing. That's what I wanted this podcast to be about, to sort of like encourage all of us who are a bit sort of scared to get out there and share our stories, to understand just how important they can be. And
Yes.
that,
Yes.
every story is important. Every
Yes.
person has an important story.
Yes.
So when it comes to photos, what role do you think they play in your brand and marketing?
Photos are incredible, eh? Like, until we had our first photo shoot, I mean, I'd done a photo shoot before, I suppose, but not really. I wasn't yet in that kind of business mindset. But the brand shoot that we did together in May last year was so much fun. And it captured me in a particular sense. But actually, I've got so many parts to me, you know what I mean? And I think I spoke to you later going, oh my gosh, I have to do another one because this is who I am. I want to
Yeah.
show this part as well, you know what I mean? And I love that. So I think photos are very, very important to convey who you are, right? Because people don't see you day to day, especially where you work
Mm.
remotely like I do. Yes, I have a
Mhm.
clinic in Hartford where I live, but
Yes.
photos are very good at capturing you and bringing out the best in you. And that's what you did really well, Sarah, you know what I mean? So yes,
Thank you.
I'd say photography is a way
Mhm.
to capture, and videos if you can as well, obviously, because
Yeah,
it just shows they can hear your voice, they can see how you
exactly.
interact. So this is really
Yeah.
great as well as a podcast
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
see, how I come across and how we interact and
Mhm.
stuff. So yes,
Yeah.
I love photos, and I think I got a bit of a thing now. A bit of a bug, like seasonal
Well,
photos, you know what I mean? So yeah, looking forward to kind of updating
yes.
my kind of current collection and
Yes.
yeah, bring out a different side of me.
And so when it comes to connecting with your dream clients and growing your businesses, what challenges do you face, and what has been your biggest learning so far? Yes, if you want to share, so that for people starting out, perhaps they can learn from what you're going through.
Wow. The biggest challenge, I think we'll talk about this earlier before we started, is just showing up, right?
Yeah.
Showing
Yeah.
up, being
Mhm.
there, being present, adding
Yeah.
value in whatever shape or form
Mhm.
you're coming to
Mhm.
business with or person, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is quite challenging, especially where you're trying to unlearn some of these food myths or dietary myths people are kind of got hard ingrained in their mind, you know what I mean? That can be quite challenging. But I would say the one thing I'd say is definitely just turn up. Okay. Be present, be visible, speak your truth,
Yeah.
talk about your story,
Yeah.
um, and just share, right?
Yeah. That's perfect. That's the answer. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely something I find challenging. I mean, I'm sure there's not many business owners out there that don't find challenging to, but that's the first thing. Like whenever somebody books a photo shoot with me,
Yeah.
usually the first thing they say to me is, "I'm not very good in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
like." And what's today doing? It's hard to
Yes,
get
and I have a
visible.
similar thing where they say, "Oh, you're gonna tell me what not to eat or what I shouldn't be
Mm,
eating." But actually, I need to kind of reframe that, and that's really what it is: educating
yes.
people to reframe
Yeah.
their view on what they should be eating. And I say,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna tell you what not to eat. I'm gonna tell you
Mhm.
what to eat more of
Yeah.
to achieve your health goals. So it's a lot of
Mhm.
just answering those questions and yeah, getting people to think
Yeah.
about things differently.
Mhm. You've talked about how when you work with your clients, you're often working on those relationships they have with food, which tie to deeper personal stories, and how you need to rewrite those narratives. And I just wonder if you could give us a bit more of an example of how that works. What sort of stories do you come across, and how do you help people rewrite those narratives?
That's a really interesting question there, Sarah, because I think I inadvertently probably rewrite narratives with all the clients I work with. But one really that sticks into mind that really is close to my heart, really, and a lot of clients don't realize how important it is to achieving their own health goals is like the late night eating. A lot of my clients come to me, they've got health challenges of all sorts. And one thing, a pattern that I see consistently is that they're eating quite late into the night
Yeah.
before they go to bed. So one of the main, really, I think the main lifestyle choices I advise to my clients is to allow at least 3 to 4 hours between their last meal of the day and bedtime. Okay. And they always just say, well, I'm hungry before I go to bed and stuff. And I say, well, you, if you're eating enough throughout the day and given their protocol, I'll make sure they have enough at each meal, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
they're getting ready for
Mhm.
bed. Their body is preparing to shut down to do the housekeeping is what I call it. And really that's what it is. Your body is shutting down to do housekeeping for you to repair, to heal, restore.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
if you're eating too close towards that time, you're interfering with that housekeeping process. Okay. And then that interferes with your sleep, which then creates a vicious cycle of you then never feeling that you have enough rest when you need to snack, and it just feeds that loop even more.
Mhm.
So that's one of the narratives I think I could think of right now that just play out constantly. And once a
Mhm.
client adjusts to that, that's when they say, oh my gosh, I've lost 4 pounds of weight in the first week.
Good luck.
Like it's
Mhm.
almost like they didn't expect after years of trying,
Mhm.
focusing on just their weight and counting
Mhm.
calories, that actually this
Mhm.
natural lifestyle and life
Mhm.
cycle and circadian rhythm plays a bigger part than just the counting calories. And that's also another kind of change and misconception about weight loss, and counting
Yeah.
calories.
So we are at the last question. I would love to ask you, for people just starting out and wanting to grow their brand, what advice would you give them when it comes to sharing their stories?
Be authentic, be yourself,
Mm.
because everyone else is taken.
I love the clarity.
Everyone else is taken because they're not going to
Mhm.
buy. You might have an amazing product, but people buy you. You
Yeah.
are, especially now going through setting up business. I've quickly realized that people need to know you, they want to like you, and they want to trust you. So
Yeah.
if you're not being your authentic self, I don't know how long that lasts, right?
Mhm.
So definitely authenticity has
Yeah.
to be top of that list.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I bring all myself to social media all the time,
Yeah.
but to give an insight of who I am, and this is a great way to
Yeah.
do it as well, having the time to
Mhm.
chat and, you
Yeah.
know, show who I am.
That's a perfect note to finish on. Thank you so much for being my first guest, Esther.
This has been so much fun.
I so enjoyed that beautiful conversation, and I'm grateful to Esther for sharing so openly. There's so much wisdom in her story. Here are my 3 storytelling takeaways that really stood out. Number 1, your personal story is your most powerful brand asset. Esther's willingness to share her own health journey, the moment she was winded by a blood test result, the overwhelm, the burnout, it's what builds such deep trust with her audience. It's not polished perfection, it's real, and that's what makes it resonate. Number 2, micro stories create macro impact. Whether it's showing a moment of gratitude in nature, time on her yoga mat, or helping a client to live with more ease by getting back to regular digestion, Esther reminds us that storytelling doesn't always need to be big or dramatic. It's often the small, consistent moments that show who we are and how we can help. Number 3, storytelling can be an act of reframing for yourself and your audience. Esther helps her clients rewrite the old stories they tell themselves about food, health, and worthiness. She models a new narrative, one of nourishment, self-respect, and joy. And that authenticity invites her audience to rethink their own beliefs too. So if you're wondering how to tell your story, start by being present and sharing what's true for you. If today's episode got you thinking about the stories you're telling, or maybe the ones you've been keeping to yourself, I've got a gentle invitation for you. If you've got 15 minutes, why not grab your journal and do some free writing on your personal brand story? There's no pressure to craft the perfect narrative. Just give yourself space to explore. This can be a powerful exercise whether you're just starting out or you've done this work before. In fact, I always recommend revisiting your story every year because we change, our work evolves, and sometimes the story you want to tell shifts too. So let this be a moment to check in, to see what still feels true and what new layers are ready to be shared. If you'd like support in uncovering those layers and shaping a story that feels like you, that's exactly what I help creators and change makers do through brand storytelling, photography, and content that connects. You can find out more about my work on my website, sarahaorton.co.uk, or come and say hello on Instagram at Sarah Alton Photos. And if you're curious to explore one of the tools Esther uses in her practice, and that's helped many women improve their energy, achieve sustainable weight goals, and feel more in control of their health, then you can find her complimentary guide to intermittent fasting on her website. Esther says that it isn't about rigid rules or restrictions. It's a gentle, real-life introduction that helps you tune into your body's natural rhythms and build habits that support long-term metabolic health. I'll share her website details in the show notes. If this episode inspired you, please consider sharing it with a friend or leaving a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It really would make my day, and it will help me reach more brilliant change makers like you. Until next time, remember, uncover your story, own it, share it, and shine.